All right, welcome back to the CCI BattleDrones tutorial series where we're going over the MATLAB first-person view drone racing competition code that's been developed here at Virginia Tech. So I'm going to walk you through, first off, just a very short video on where you can get the code and how to access it. Okay, so to kick things off, let me just share my screen and we will go from there. So the code lives on a GitHub, actually it's a GitLab repository at Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech has their coding site is code.vt.edu. Now, typically you would need a Virginia Tech login account to access this, but we've made this CCI repository open for anyone who has this URL. So what I've done here is I've opened up an incognito window so that you guys can be confident that you don't need to know, a specific user account to access this. So the location, and I'll put this in the description of the video, code.vt.edu/CCI-BattleDrones. And that will take you here. And so when you log in, you will have access to whichever groups and repositories are available for outside access. So there's a couple more here that are only for developmental purposes, and they're kind of hidden, but anyone should be able to log in and find the 2022 competition. When you go in, this is where we will put all of the code that's needed to access for this project. The first one that is here is the MATLAB Simulator. And this is one that I did kind of a 45-minute tutorial overview on. And I do owe you some more videos on some of the specific functionality there. And so I will be posting those in this series as well. One thing to be looking out for is additional projects here that we can go into. So this one is the MATLAB Simulator, and it's just using kind of a loophole or kind of a gimmick within the MATLAB figures that you can move the perspective of the camera around. It uses that to let you see what it would be like for the first person viewer, okay? And that technology, I really developed it so that you as the code designer or the autonomy builder would have the opportunity to kind of get your head in the game and think through, why did that not work well? And so getting that kind of live first person view as you walk through the whole code, to me, that's helpful. That is part of the MATLAB, but we are in the future going to be taking that code and translating it into Python. Okay, so this is for two purposes. The first purpose is kind of a secondary benefit. If any of you don't have access to MATLAB, MATLAB licensees have some rather expensive, steep charges if you're not at a university. And so there could be some people that want to use this code that don't have access to MATLAB. Python is open source. You don't get the same functionality with plotting that you do with MATLAB. I think there are plenty of different libraries you can download for visualization, but it's just going to be a little bit more challenging to duplicate that first person view simulator in Python. However, it's not unapproachable. So if that's you, reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to discuss with you how to access the kind of the same functionality within Python. We've got a couple of ideas that really boil it down to some more simpler plots. But that's one possibility that you can do. The primary motivation for translating this to Python is so that the code can operate and run on your drone. So as we continue to develop these tutorial series, we will have a couple of like actually getting the software operating on the drone hardware. So we'll have the Jets and Nanos where this code will live. And MATLAB's just way too clunky to operate in real time. So we'll want to put that into something faster like Python, and then trade out the pieces that are really core to the simulation, the pieces that engage with the MATLAB figures, and have them connect to things like the actual camera to take pictures or connect and interface with the flight controller of the Pixhawk. So the version that we post for the Python will not be specifically for a simulator, though you can make some minor modifications. It's primarily going to be the flight software for the drone. So with that, let me dive into this one, the MATLAB Simulator. so you guys can see where that is. Okay, so here is the MATLAB simulator. This is Git. One thing that I don't want to do is make a video tutorial on Git. I don't think I'm qualified enough to do that. And YouTube is saturated with those types of tutorials. So if you're not familiar with Git and you want to use it for this project, go look up on YouTube. There's dozens and dozens of Git tutorials. But if you do want to use that and you have the capabilities, you can clone this repository here and get access to all the things. What I have done, though, is prevent push request. So you will not be pushing up to this repository or making your own branches on this GitLab. You'll need to make your own Git repository. So you can clone this repository, but then you want to push it in and connect it to your own repo. If you don't want to use this Git at all, this icon right here is to download the code and have it live on your own environment. So the download, it'll just give you a zip folder, and then you can open up the .m files natively on your own system. So that's really the whole thing. What I will comment on just a little bit more is the code that's in here. So it's all been broken down into these 6 different categories that we talked about in the last video. And then the main simulator is what connects and drives all of them. So this is kind of our driver script. And in the next video, I'm going to dive into one piece of this driver script that focuses in on the autonomy and is largely leveraging all the functions here in navigation. So our next video is going to dive in a little bit more depth on navigation. So let me pause here to keep these little tutorials in bite-sized chunks, and I will see you in the next one.